Hey guys, I'm in the newsroom, the ABC7NY newsroom. We're hanging out with Mark Spoonhour, who is the editor-in-chief of Tom's Guide. He's got the coveted iPhone 10. You've got one of the few people who have their hands on it. What's the word so far?
So the word is $1,000. That's how much you're going to pay to have the most beautiful phone that Apple has ever made, but there's a premium attached to it, and people are asking, okay, so what are you getting for $1,000? And I think when you look at the design, that's probably the first thing that people are going to gravitate towards. The fact that you're getting a 5.8-inch screen, they're calling it a Super Retina display. This is an OLED screen, so similar to what Samsung has had in the past. So you get super wide viewing angles, perfect blacks, much more saturated colors, and you're getting that in something that's easy to use in one hand.
So let's talk about this. One of the features of the iPhone 10 is there's no home button.
That's right. And that was one of the trade-offs that Apple made in order to give you this edge-to-edge display. So there's a new way to interact with the phone. So for example, if I'm in an app, let's say music or something else, and I want to exit it, what do? You just swipe up from the bottom. You see this bar right here?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like to guide you. So you swipe up like that. But let's say, okay, but I want to switch from one app to the other. So what you do is you go up and then you hold, and you see how the other apps then start folding in? So there is a little bit of a learning curve, and there's a new way to interact with the iPhone 10, but I think people are going to get used to it. The one thing that I don't like is that in order to get rid of apps and to swipe them away, usually we just do this. But because Apple doesn't want people to confuse swiping up and then accidentally deleting or exiting an app, you press and hold.
Oh.
And then you just go like that to get rid of it. So it's not that hard, but you are going to have to relearn some things that people have been using iPhone since 2007, right?
Right.
So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I think it's going to be worth it for people who want this design. The other thing that's different is just how you unlock the phone to begin with. So it's called Face ID, and I've already logged in with my face. It scans your face in all different directions.
Right, show us how it works in real time here.
So you unlock you basically just press the power button on the right-hand side, and you see here, I just stared at it and unlocked the phone. So in order to start using your phone, you just swipe up. Right? So it's pretty easy to use. Some people are complaining that the Face ID is not working very well in very bright sunlight, but so far I haven't had any issues, and it works in the dark. I'm someone who's a workaholic who works in the dark in the bedroom and that sort of thing, when I shouldn't. It works at any hour of the day. So far, so good on that. And Face ID also works with Apple Pay. So if I walk into a store, I double tap on the home button here, or what was the home button, the power button, and I use my face to pay.
I can't get over the fact that it is $1,000.
Right.
$1,000. So what else comes with this phone when you turn it on?
Yeah, it's important to think about how it's differentiated versus the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 8. One key way is what you can do with the front camera. So you have this true depth sensor that also logs you into the phone, can do things like portrait mode even with the front-facing camera. So this is just some portraits that I took today. And you see how you get the blurred out background, just as you do with the portrait mode from the back of the iPhone 8 Plus. The other thing is just the design. So if you hold this for a second, I'll show you how it stacks up to the iPhone 8 Plus, right? So big screen, but look how much wasted space that you have here between the two designs. So in a way, this feels like the future because of what Apple's leaving behind. And this is a great phone, and it's $200 less, but it's just a lot more to carry in your pocket. This one is busting out of my jeans, and this one fits just right.
Let's do it. So here we go. Yeah, you can see.
So looking forward, Apple won't share any of its future plans because that's Apple being Apple.
Right.
But if I had to take a guess, Touch ID is probably going to go away altogether. And so are bezels on all sorts of phones, because we've seen that with Samsung and some other manufacturers. The other thing is just is the image quality too. So what sort of images are you getting from the dual megapixel cameras on the back as well as on the front? So we actually did some shooting versus the Google Pixel 2, and we're going to have our face-off up pretty soon. But so far so good with some of the images. So here's one where you can see just the level of detail when you zoom in. Pretty great. And it also happens to show off the OLED display in terms of the rich and saturated colors. But that also brings us to another point that people are not so much complaining about, but there is an issue. See this notch that you have right here to the left of the screen. Some people say it's distracting, and I totally get that. It's less distracting when you have a dark color background like this, but when you have something like a white color background, like that, it's a lot more prominent.
Right.
And I think, so it's a little bit of an eyesore, but I think people will get used to it.
So let's talk about this really cool, these new Animojis, is that what they're called?
Yes. Okay. So it's an all new feature, and it's already creeping me out a little bit because you could see that it's moving in time with my mouth.
It's following your every
move. And it follows
move.
my gestures, and even if I just use my eyebrows like that, if I smile, or if I frown,
Is it specific to you because it's your phone, or if I took over, would it?
It actually might work. Give it a shot.
Yeah, it does work on somebody else.
And you can choose from all sorts of different characters, as you can see down the left here. Yes, including Pooh.
I'm a robot.
Yeah, for people who are really,
Oh, look, but there's a cute dog.
So you got dogs.
Woof, woof.
Yeah, so there's about a dozen or so characters right now. But I guess the main thing is like, all right, so what happens when developers get their hands on this, and what sort of AR apps can they come up with that really take advantage of the hardware?
Oh, see, I almost wanted to hit the home because instinctively.
Exactly. So you have to sort of get used to that. It's like a new muscle memory.
Right.
But I think overall, when you think about the monthly cost, so getting back to your question on that, we did a price comparison versus the iPhone 8 Plus, and depending on the carrier, the difference is anywhere between $6 and $8 extra a month. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you multiply it over the course of a year, that's almost like another Netflix. So a lot of people are asking, okay, but what about other manufacturers? The Galaxy Note 8 sells for $950, so it's not like it's that far off from the iPhone 10. When you think about everything that you use your phone for, I think you could make the argument that phones have become more valuable than your laptop, right? And how many times you use it per day, you use it for work, you use it for play, and that sort of thing. On the other hand, it is a little bit sad that $1,000 is becoming the new normal.
So let's go back to this camera feature because I want to test it out.
Sure.
So this portrait mode.
Yeah. So you select portrait, and then it blurs. So you want to reverse it, and then turn it towards you. No, you got it right. So just put yourself in the frame.
Oh, I gotcha, because I got Emily.
Yeah. So when you take that photo, you see how she's already blurred out?
Oh, yeah.
And what's great about that is that now you can go back into that image and then edit it and apply all sorts of different effects. So let's see, edit. And then you see that little portrait thing right there? So we can select different, so there's natural light, studio light, which almost like fills it in.
Wow.
And then you have contour light.
That's really neat.
Which I kind of like, because it's almost like applying makeup and making your face skinny at the same time. It makes me look tan when I use it, so I kind of like that. And then you have stage light.
Wow, you just disappeared, Emily.
Yeah, which I think is more of a work in progress. You see how the rough cutout right there?
Yeah, because you can still see some of the edges.
More of a selfie, if you did that more as a selfie.
Yeah, exactly. So there's better conditions that it works under, but there's a reason why Apple is calling this feature that it's in beta, right? So it's not yet final.
Yeah, it's a work
But it
in
is cool
progress.
that you can do this with a front-facing camera, because on the iPhone 8 Plus, you can only do it with the back camera. So if you want to take the best-looking selfies, this is the one to get.
And selfies are sort of just a thing now. Everyone just does it. It's part of our fabric of everyday living as selfies,
That's right.
whether we're with other people or we're by ourselves.
And have we talked about Snapchat? Because
No.
I think that's something else that's worth.
Yes, we were talking about this right before we started. So show me the new feature.
So you go like that to exit, and then try just putting your face on it again.
It looks like I have a face paint.
It does, and so it's using the true depth camera, and that's why it looks like so realistic. This is not. This is definitely not something that Android can do, at least not anytime soon, because of what Apple has done with the hardware and working with partners.
That is kind of freaky.
So this is just one app of AR, but imagine what else you could do with this.
Is there anything we could demo real quickly here with AR?
So you see how it's placing the game board here?
Oh yeah.
This is a game called The Machines, and that's my character. So as I zoom in, right, I get a different view.
Oh, right.
Right? So this will learn basic mechanics of AR combat battlefield. So that's why it's not like fully fleshed out yet, because it's just building the board right now. But imagine you can play games like this and walk around the board. So if I walk around, I'll get a different perspective of the action.
Wow.
And that's what augmented reality is. Yeah.
For $1,000, this thing better be super durable.
Yeah.
Do we know, is it waterproof?
It is water resistant. And Apple says that the glass is the most durable that's ever been in a smartphone. But what's great about our job is that we get to drop test stuff. And we actually did that with the iPhone 8. And it did pretty well from a height of about 3 feet.
Okay.
Then we went a little bit higher, and the back didn't crack, but the lens did.
Oh,
but something like this, like just going on the floor and landing, it was just fine. But then that gets into, okay, so if I'm going to pay $1,000 for this phone, and one of the reasons why is I'm getting a case, why would I want to cover up the design?
Right.
Right? And that's the dilemma that some people are going to have. So I think if you're going to get a case, I would get something that's like clear, that really shows off the edge-to-edge screen and that sort of thing. If you get an OtterBox, I'm coming after you. It's just like too bulky.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
3 things that make it worth $1,000.
I would say the design, the display, and the image quality that you get front and back.
Okay, and then reverse, 3 drawbacks.
I would say well, we'll have to see about battery life because we're still testing, but I would say just the speed with which you're able to log in with Face ID. I think that there's a little bit of a lag there, but I think it's not like terrible, but it's something that you just think about and you don't want to have to think about it. And then I would also say just the learning curve of learning all of these new gestures and how to like exit apps and close apps and that sort of thing. And then just like little things that you have to get used to, like the notch. So like one thing, it might be annoying to some, but if I wanted to see how much percentage battery life I have left, like usually it shows you that percentage.
Right, there's
but because of that notch that's here, I actually have to swipe down first to see it. So it's like little trade-offs like that you have to make in order to have something that's close to perfect.
Is the iPhone 10 still the gold standard when it comes to smartphones?
Good question. When it comes to big screen smartphones, I actually still really like the Galaxy Note 8 because you get a bigger display. I think it's at 6.2 or 6.3 inches, so it's bigger than this. And some people like having the S Pen built in for taking notes. Like I could take notes even when the screen is off. But when you think about like the advantages that iOS have, they always get the hottest apps first. And that's always been the case. And I think it's going to continue to be the case as we get into this augmented reality revolution. And it's also just easier to use, generally speaking, iOS than Android. And it's also more secure, right? So I think for all those reasons, when you combine that with the hardware, I think the iPhone 10 is great for a lot of people if you have the money.
Gotcha. All right, Mark Spoonhour with Tom's Guide hanging out with us. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you next time with the next gadget.
All right, thank you.